Hello, friends. Welcome to A Little Room for Healing, where we aim to create a little more room in the world for authentic connection, insightful healing, and a deeper understanding of our hearts, ourselves, and each other through honest conversation. My name is Joel. I'm a Reiki and 13th Octave Lao Chi practitioner, a facilitator for deep healing, and your host. My friend Ezra Goh has returned for a second exploration on the podcast. Ezra is a somatic movement coach. He uses movement as a language to create spaces and containers for people to have conversations with their bodies, especially when there's fear in the body or fear of the body. On this episode, we delve into the world of meaning and how one can get lost in a maze while seeking it. We look at who's making the maze and why. We also talk about the connection between the mind and the body when it comes to communication. Join us on the journey through Ezra's maze. As usual, we begin with check-ins so that we can be more tuned with each other. Hi, Ezra.
Hey, Joel.
It's great to have you again.
Back in the soup with you.
We just had some good mushroom soup.
We did.
So that's nice. And another thing that's exciting for me is that we're back in my actual Little Room for Healing after a few episodes away. And if you are watching the video version, I am now able to introduce to you the new table that my brother made for me and for the podcast. I love it. It's beautiful. And I'm so happy I finally get to use it. It's been over a month since it arrived. So thank you to my brother. And let's jump in with check-ins. I'll go first on this one. Let's see. I am hot and sweaty and a little tired. Maybe a lot tired. There's a grogginess. We had a late night last night and a day full yesterday that was just it was a lot. Some stuff was going on yesterday. That's kind of hanging over into this space today. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more about it later. And yeah, just this feeling of really open to what will happen in this conversation with you, because I feel like we're both low energy, but I'll let you speak to your state right now.
Yeah. I'm yawning a lot. So that's pretty reflective. It's actually hard to tell what I'm feeling. It's I'm having one of those experiences where there's a lot going on. So if I really try to tune in, then it's like, yeah, some weird muscle tensions around my neck and shoulders. My hips feel a little restless, and just like stuff doesn't feel quite comfy. But it feels like my awareness is just kind of floating above all of it, and it's hard for me to even like get in there to like see what exactly it is I'm feeling. So a lot of sensations, not a lot of meaning. But other than that, yeah, I feel like I'm too tired to be self-conscious the way I was last time. So I'm excited about that.
I am noticing, even in the way you're speaking, that it isn't there as much.
Yeah, it's like I don't even have the capacity. I'm like barely having the capacity to pay attention to you, much less who the hell is watching us. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see how this unfolds too. That's where I'm at.
Excellent. What can we get into? Is there anything more about the experience you're having right now that you'd like to get into?
Well, I would say after the last podcast I did with you, and then like watching back the episode for myself, and just like noticing things about myself, also kind of unfolded a little process since then, and just getting clear on how self consciousness is. I couldn't say it properly last time, but it's this weird experience of like you're watching yourself, and then you're watching yourself watch yourself, and then you're watching yourself watch yourself watch yourself watch yourself, and at every point you're checking whether A, you're doing the right thing, B, you're watching yourself in the right way, that like should you be watching yourself more compassionately, and then you're watching it's like there's a check at every point. It's so exhausting.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting exhausted just listening to you.
right and then the weird part is that when that mechanism is there, it's like, well, I can see that I probably need to take some of that pressure off myself, but then you're seeing through the last security camera that goes, you need to take pressure off yourself, and then that just becomes one more layer on it, and it's like, how do you get out of that loop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if that's the mechanism that I see the world through, then anything that I do is going to come in through that same chain of command, and it's like, how do I approach things completely differently? And that's been I guess venture into the like unknown and uncertainty. Yeah, about like don't try to not even think about what it is that you're supposed to do, and that's really scary a lot of the times.
What's scary about it for you?
For me, it's like there's no way to even track what's happening. It's like you figure it out after, which might mean that you hurt people, or you hurt yourself, or things go really, really wrong. So it's this, like, I want to say detachment from outcome, but it's not even detachment from outcome, which is scary. Don't get me wrong, that is scary. But what's even scarier is the feeling like you don't even have a way to assess the outcome and whether you like it or not. It's like it's just a thing that happens, and maybe you find out whether you like it or not, or maybe you don't, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's, I don't know. There's some. I guess all I can say is like, what it brings up for me is that it feels very lacking in meaning. And what is a life that you can't make meaning out of? Like, if you can't make meaning out of experiences, then what is life? That's what it brings up for me.
What I was hearing was when you talked about not knowing what the outcome would be, or like some sort of fear of not having control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or I can see that. I can see what you're saying. What it feels like more is not having options. Because, like, do I want to, now that I've had these experiences, do I want to do it differently next time, or do I not? It's like, how do I even give myself options to, like, choose and decide? Which, yes, then that goes into control. Yeah.
Oof. Control. Such a the attachment to, or the need for control and the attachment to control, to me, is a way to try to guarantee yourself safety. And I guess I'm wondering, what are you feeling unsafe from?
Don't know. Haven't gotten that far down yet. Yeah. I will say where the little knot for me is that it hides inside this other thing that I do value about myself. Is that I'm a learner. I learn through experiences. I do stuff and I extract a lot of information from it. And I'm good at it. It's what makes me a good teacher as well. At least I think I'm a good teacher. Yeah. So it's like this need for control hides inside this really positive thing. And for me, it feels like separating out when meaning making is useful and when meaning making is just a coping mechanism to avoid that. To avoid that fear.
Are you aware of the difference when you're
Not yet.
separating it?
Not yet. Yeah, because I don't think I even fully know what it feels like to be in an experience without making meaning of it. Yeah, it's like even sometimes in with plant medicine ceremonies that I've been on, people are always like, how the hell are you able to like create such a clear narrative arc for your entire journey? How are you so lucid about what happened? So even then, it's like that mechanism is online for me.
Do you feel like when you're doing the plant medicine ceremonies and you're making this clear arc, are you feeling really, really confident that the clear arc is what is actually happening and connecting everything?
Such a complicated question, Joel. Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that my impulse, since I have those layers of security cameras, is to check the narrative over and over and over again. So it isn't a clear narrative that comes out. It's like a million different possibilities for what the meaning of this experience is, like fractally expanding out. And then they eventually kind of like come back together into like one thing, which I'm aware is limited by what I can see. So there's definitely maybe going to be blind spots. But if I don't know what the blind spots are yet, then this is what I have for now. So I am sure to the extent that I can be sure. Does that answer your question?
Enough. I really am curious what happens if you're not able to make meaning of it.
I'll tell you when I manage to have that experience.
Okay, are you able to imagine or like just go in and say and be like, okay, there's no meaning, and try to actually experience it in your system? What would happen if there was no meaning about what's happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
If you just tuned into, there's no meaning to this. Can I be in no meaning?
I feel like my response is going to be so frustrating.
To me or to you?
Both.
Okay. Let's get frustrated.
Yeah, what you just said just now.
Mm-hmm.
Already the moment I'm trying to make no meaning of it, then the meaning here is to make no meaning. And that's the meaning.
Okay.
And then immediately it's like, oh yeah, Zen thing, because this is a healing arc and this is really what you need, and here's the wound, and you're starting to experience the fear of not being in control, blah, blah, blah. Here's the meaning. So then there is a meaning.
You're making the meaning.
Right. It just happens. I get glimpses of it, but it's like this, that meaning making part of me comes in so quickly and so clearly I can exert a lot of effort in trying to shelf it or compartmentalize it or put it away. But then that itself takes up all of the effort. And then I'm not experiencing the space that is left from not meaning making. So yeah, still on that little journey.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, there is a real fear in there of not having meaning, of what it's like to not be in a situation where there's no meaning.
Yeah.
Or to not have an understanding, not feel like you have an understanding of what's happening.
Yeah. When I've danced around in it, something that it's this energy that comes up. Hard to put words to, but it feels like something like waste or like usefulness. Like, what is a life that is used well? You know, like time and, you know, wasting time or wasting a life, kind of. Yeah, but I don't have the specifics of it. Yeah, but there is this impulse of like going full nihilistic, right? It's like if there is no meaning to life because we are all just weird consciousness that just like popped up here and we're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. And you know, capitalism doesn't make sense. My job, if it's in that structure, doesn't really make sense. Religion doesn't make sense. All of these things don't make sense. Like, what is there now? And then it's like the answer is just some life for you to experience. Then the next question that comes up is, well, what do I want to experience? And I want to experience as much of it as I can. So then that, I feel like that is where kind of like that I don't want to waste time in a way. You know, like I want to have experiences and extract as much from each experience as I can. Yeah. And but then, you know, if I ask like, well, what happens if I don't? I don't know. Like the answer is like just like what do you mean? Like there's no ability to even contemplate the what happens if I don't.
There's something coming up from what we were into yesterday. And I want to ask you if you're okay with me bringing it up.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
We were at one point looking into you and your inner child just being able to experience being a child without this feeling like he had to take on adult roles. And when I think of kid just being a child, I think of experience without meaning. And just being in this moment, and wherever it takes them, and then they move on to the next thing and the next thing. And they learn from it and they grow. Yeah, so I guess that's what's coming up. I still have this. I'm noticing that I have this strong desire for your inner child to experience that.
Yeah. There might be an even younger inner child that I'm not connected to yet. Because the one that I'm connected to, even yesterday, like when he's given the space to just be a child, what he does is what I described. God have experiences, meaning make, grow, learn. That's what he is already Well, as far as I can tell, like I say, you can do whatever you want to do, and he goes, yeah, well, yeah, I am doing what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So, is that just him, or is there a conditioning that has already set in? Yeah, at that age, I don't know. If there is, then there might be a even younger inner child for whom that conditioning hasn't set in yet that I'm still not in touch with.
Do you want to be in touch with it?
Sure, yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Do I want to be in touch with it? Well, the sense making mind is like, it'd be good to. Yeah, but that doesn't answer the question if I want to. Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like, if it's needed, I'll find him eventually. I don't think it helped very much at the moment for me to go hunting for him.
Why?
Feels like even if I were to want to connect to that even younger one, this slightly older one is the way to get to him. So I'd rather be in connection with this inner child for now, because this one also hasn't really been taken care of all that much. Yeah, so I'll work with what I have, and then if it leads me to that younger one, then it will. That's what it feels like currently, at least. And also, if I were to go hunting, wouldn't even know how. Yeah, and I don't think that inner child would like it very much if I just went around like yelling like, "Where are you? Come here!"
You mean the one you're looking for wouldn't like it very much?
Yeah, I don't even know if there is one. Right, it's just like a theory, right? But if he is there and he's hiding, then I don't think it would be very productive for me to go around like, "Where are you? I want to be in touch with you. Come out now."
Yeah. I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be that kind of hunting. There can be a invitation sent out that I'm around, and if and when you're ready to, but be like, just, hey, I'm around, and I'm open to engaging with you. That's
True.
it.
Yeah.
And just leave it there. And maybe check in every once in a while. Like, still here? When you feel like it.
Yeah. I think that invitation is there.
Cool. Woo! Thanks for going there with me.
Sure.
I'm feeling also a tenderness, and want to check in with you how you're feeling about this line of inquiry.
I notice really little blips of is it going to make sense to anyone? Yeah, but very tiny blips. And also, what is more present for me now is I don't really care.
Great.
Yeah. It'll make sense to the people who it makes sense to. And
it also is, to me, is more important that it feels good to you rather than who's understanding it or not.
Right. It's not comfortable. I don't think I mind the discomfort.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, meaning. It is, if we want to talk about meaning for a minute, it is a bit of a paradox that we can be attached to making meaning of something, but really, it doesn't feel like it's always necessary to make meaning and stuff. And then there's that line of when is it actually appropriate, when is it needed, and when is it not. Yeah. I know I've been in this loop. I've been stuck in a loop of trying to like make meaning of something and figure it out and like have all the like, this is why this is happening, this is why this is happening, this is why this is happening, this is why this, and like it's just I'm stuck in this loop. And like what I really need to do is just step out of a loop and let go of trying to make meaning of it and walk away. That would be the healthiest for me in my situation.
The loop for me is because even as I hear you say that, like, it's not always necessary. I feel like my system's response to that is, well, yeah, it's never necessary. Like, cats don't make meaning of stuff, dogs don't make meaning of stuff, right? Like, we're animals too. So we have this, like, intellect that's fun and useful for certain things, but we never need to make meaning. So right, so if you're saying about like when is it necessary, never. That's the
feels good.
Yeah, that's the truest answer. It comes out. So it comes to a question of when do you want to make meaning. And my loop is that when I ask my system, the answer is all the fucking time. And the want is so strong, right? That like, even when you say you walk away, it's like my system doesn't know how to walk away from the meaning making, because that's all it wants to do.
And that's where I feel like there's some sort of wound or trauma that's actually charging the meaning making.
Yeah, and I think I'm starting to see that, and it's so deeply integrated into my system that it's like, well, this is just who I am. This is how I am. There's an identification with it. Yeah, it feels like no matter how deep I ask, the answer that comes out is, this is just how you are. This is your nature. And that's fine.
And this is a nice answer to keep that mechanism in place.
Yeah.
It feels good. It's a soothing answer to keep that mechanism in place, being like, well, this is the way it is. And then you like say you're okay with it, but it doesn't feel like you're actually okay with it.
It might be more, that last part might be more obvious to you than it is to me. Because I can't feel any part of me that isn't okay with it. I can see how in certain situations it creates like dynamics or things that I don't like. And that helps me infer that there's a hardness. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, does it feel good to make meaning of everything? Does it actually even feel good, the process of needing to make meaning of everything? And that energy you put into it?
It feels really, well, one, again, it's so integrated that I don't perceive any effort. I'm not even putting in effort. It's like, it just happens.
Well, you say that, and then in our conversations, like yesterday, you're like, it's exhausting. And you tell me how exhausting it is.
Yeah. Yeah, but those are like pretty rare moments. Yeah, and I don't even know how it comes up. So that was I guess that's what I was gonna say. It's like, it's so integrated that most times I don't even experience the effort. It's just kind of happening. Then in these little rare moments where, for whatever reason or circumstances align, everything like slows down for a second, then I notice that I'm tired.
I have a thought about this.
Yeah.
Could it be that it's always exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It just builds,
Mm-hmm.
and then it gets to a point where you actually connect with how exhausting it is, and then you do something to alleviate that exhaustion, and then it starts over down at, okay, I kind of emptied the tank a little bit on the exhaustion, and now it's building again.
Yeah, that sounds right. That seems to track.
I'm also just now in the fact and the irony that we're making meaning of you making meaning. We have a tendency to do this. I don't know, maybe it's I think there's something about you and this hall of mirrors and maze that makes it seem like it's all folding in on itself. Because I don't usually, I guess I mean, I do make meaning of things, but I don't get lost in the making meaning of the meaning of the meaning of things. Unless I'm talking with you.
Yep. Welcome to the club.
That is quite a mechanism that is protecting something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my take.
Yeah. Like every now and then I can like zoom out, and then I'm like, you know, at a circus, right? Like you see the entire like hall of mirrors, so to speak. And you're like, there's a hall of mirrors. And then I can like see the whole structure of it. But yeah, but it doesn't happen very often. And it's just like for the tiniest little bit.
We had a moment a few weeks ago where we actually removed the maze.
Yeah, different maze though.
It was a different maze.
Yeah. I feel like this is the maze builder. Like, so a lot of
the
my
game maker.
Yeah, like a lot of my wounds have those kind of mazes around it. But what we are talking about right now is the mechanism that goes around building mazes around each one, because it's how I cope with difficulty and discomfort and pain. And so, you know, yeah, it's the boss maze.
Wonder what happens if you embrace this maze maker and befriend it.
First thought is it doesn't seem to want friends. So control. It wants to create mazes for people to No. Okay, I don't know what it wants, but I know that it doesn't seem to want my friendship.
How about your respect?
Feels like don't know, don't care, leave me alone to just do my thing.
Feisty.
Yeah. I just want to do my thing and I just want to build my mazes. Leave me alone. Feels like a crusty old man. Feels like the guy in Up.
Interesting. The way you just said it, it sounded like a despondent child.
Yeah, I would say that the crusty old man in Up is a despondent child.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well,
Yeah.
I feel like we can take a little break from this and I can do some energy work on you.
Cool. Sounds good.
And I'm wondering if you'd like to set an intention or two more for this session.
My intention is to just allow whatever needs to move.
We will be right back after Ezra's energy healing session. And we are back from Ezra's energy healing session. We ended up doing La Ho Chi. And I gotta say, that energy was quite a bit for me.
Oh, yeah?
In my state. But I it was nice. It was really wonderful. And it felt really warm and light and uplifting, but I just noticing there was a lot of times I was like,
Effort for you to bring in.
a little bit to hold. How was your experience?
Also, just so I'm clear, you meant the energy of La Ho Chi, not my energy.
No, not
Got
your
it.
energy.
I was in a hypnagogic state for most of it, which I really enjoy.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, although it's funny because I used to think that I was asleep. Because I used to go into those states a lot during yoga classes, especially Shavasana. Yeah, I would lie down and just like, and I used to think that, like, oh man, I must be so tired, I keep falling asleep. Yeah, and now I can notice that I'm not actually asleep. Yeah, and it's I don't know. It's a very pleasant state to be in for me.
It is. I get a lot of downloads in that state myself. That's what I like about it. Yeah. You were very relaxed, and I don't even know if you were aware or noticed the sounds that were coming out of you.
No.
In your breathing. It was like a snoring, but it wasn't quite like a snoring. That's what I was like, there's something in me that says he's sleeping, but I know that that's not true. The bigger part was like, oh, he's in that in between place.
I noticed my legs and my hips twitching at certain points, but I did not notice the sounds.
Did anything else come up?
Well, speaking of hypnagogic state, there's a interesting related thought because before you were asking what happens when there's no meaning making, then it's like the intellect has nothing to do, so I slip into that state. But like you say that you get a lot of downloads in that state, I can't track my experience in that state. It's almost like my system doesn't know how to receive things except through the meaning making part. So I may be getting downloads. I mean, I can tell something is happening. Yeah, but I wouldn't go so far as to call them downloads because I have no idea.
Can I tell you something that was coming up for me?
Yeah, please.
It was... I'm going to take a sip of my tea here. It was this question. The question was coming to me. Is he in this present moment ready to let go of the Hall of Mirrors meaning making mechanism?
Don't know if this answers the question exactly, but something did come up for me kind of almost right at the start. So I can tell you a little bit more about his feelings that I got clear on. And it's why this little kid also sometimes presents as a crusty old man. Because it's like he likes building these mazes, and he likes playing with concepts and ideas, and that for him is play. And he finds it really playful. When it stops being playful is when somebody comes over and like, hey, what are you making? And then he feels like he has to answer. So since he's building a maze, answering is pretty much taking that person and throwing them into the maze. And yeah, then there's this annoyance where he starts presenting as the crusty old man. Is like if you don't actually like being in the maze, then don't ask me what I'm doing, because I don't know. So I'll just show it to you. And then B, if you don't understand what it is, don't make me explain it to you. And what he would like is for somebody to just get lost in the maze with him. And because for him that's fun, and he doesn't mind doing that by himself. He would also really enjoy if somebody did it with him. Neither of those things feel lonely. What feels lonely is when somebody asks him what the maze is, but then doesn't understand it and keeps asking him to explain the maze.
That reminds me of earlier in our conversation where you said, I don't know if people understand what I'm saying. Like, there is a concern there that they don't understand, because not so much that they don't understand, just that, do I have to explain it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, some.
Am I going to be asked?
Mm-hmm. And another little piece that's coming up is also like, I think he's internalized a little bit that things go wrong if people don't understand. So he feels a need to guide people through the maze or explain the maze. Like when you were saying you got a little bit lost because it felt a little bit headspace, and like I was saying that it didn't feel like headspace at all to me. It felt like something really real. And you saying that you were lost because it was going to headspace felt a little bit bad. Yeah. Or people get hurt, or people blame him when they get lost, or people disconnect. I mean, something to do with like there's a little bit of abandonment stuff in there, I think. Like he would rather somebody say, hey, what are you doing? And then he says it his way. And then the person goes, I don't really get it, but it seems really cool what you're doing.
Why does that feel like abandonment?
That doesn't feel like abandonment.
Oh.
Yeah, but sorry, you lost me. I don't get what you're doing. That feels like abandonment.
Why does that feel like abandonment?
Why does it feel like abandonment? It feels like somebody tried to connect to you, and because you couldn't bring them in, they are not interested in seeing things your way, so they pulled back. And the disconnect happened. So what he's internalized is that if you want connection, you always have to figure out how other people might see and hear things and translate it for them.
Exhausting.
There was one other little piece that came up too, and if there is a younger one that doesn't even have that maze making tendency, Yeah, because like this, I guess this slightly older one, likes making mazes. But if the maze making itself is something that emerged from conditioning, then the even younger one is probably so far pre-verbal, yeah, that I might need to tap into something that's like pre-existence in the world. Because what came up was my mom being a pretty anxious Asian mom. I guess it's maybe not unique to Asian, but the quality that she is anxious with is quite stereotypically Asian. Yeah, it's like sensations might be dangerous. It's not sensations are dangerous, but they might be. So like skin your knee doesn't feel that bad. But then she will come in and go like, oh, you skinned your knee. That means there's an open wound. That means there might be bacteria. That means you need to put antiseptic on it. Like you need to assess the sensation. It's not enough to just go, okay, here's the sensation. It doesn't feel that bad. You need to like check for, well, it might not feel bad now, but it might. Yeah. So I feel like that got mapped in pretty hard. Yeah, in terms of like the sensation and this experience, and you need to make sense of it preventatively. Therefore, safety. Yeah. But funnily enough, there is a time and place for it, because that got me thinking that that's also why I do what I do, which, a big part of what I do is helping people make sense of pain rather than just, ouch, how do I make this pain go away? So then they take painkillers, or they go to surgery and replace the knee, or they, just like never climb upstairs forwards again. Or, there's just like find ways to avoid doing the thing that stimulates the pain, because the only thing that pain means is, ouch, no likey, don't do. Yeah, and my work, a lot of it is to help people feel into the pain, make sense of it, get more information out of it, and see what the pain is guiding them to learn rather than just avoiding it.
How do you do that?
A lot of times is myself being grounded in the fact that there is more to the experience than just the sensation of pain. Yeah, it's like, because I've made meaning so much, like I know that there's always something outside and inside just the raw sensation. So because I'm very grounded in that, I feel like the container I hold is, I know you don't believe that there's wisdom here for you in this experience. I will believe it for you. And if you believe in my belief, I will do that until you start believing in that for yourself. Yeah, and when we can create that, then it's a slow process of getting people to do the movement that causes them pain, and then feel that avoidance, and then slowly find the courage to like do it and pick apart what the pain is, other than just a signal to run away. Yeah, then they might start noticing like, oh, okay, so my shoulder's hurting because this muscle's not engaging, or okay, like I'm having trouble with this movement because my arm bone is slightly out of alignment. And then like almost immediately, once they notice that, their body also immediately starts correcting itself into where things need to go. And once they're there, it's like the process gets really quick and smooth. And then after that, it's just like building up the strength and habit to, keep going that way. Yeah, but none of that happens if the only thing that their system registers is pain. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm. I can attest to that process. You worked through. We did a session once where you helped me work through the resistance of using my hip and my right shoulder right, or in better alignment, and it felt really good. And the pain that is in there left for a time. I didn't continue the practice.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that things like that is kind of its own, it takes its own time in what I can see. Some other practitioners are pretty strict about like, okay, so now here's homework, do this 3 times a week. I personally don't feel like regimentation. It depends on the person, yeah, but a lot of times regimentation just builds shame when people fail. And given the kind of people who tend to see me, they are already interested in looking. So it's almost like it's enough to just open the door once and have them experience like, hey, look, you're moving things and it's not hurting. Yeah, and then it's like whenever it becomes important that the body takes it seriously to like, okay, I really don't want to feel this ever again. I remember not feeling this. And then like that process naturally like happens and you don't need to put so much effort and discipline into it. Yeah, it's like first connecting to that very real desire to change things. Yeah, to me it's more important than just like, do this 3 times a day because it's good for you.
Yeah, the desire you speak of, the connecting to the desire to change things, is related to 2 things, and one is with you and one is with me. And I'll say mine first. Last night I was seeing this part that was slippery and didn't want to. My view of it was, oh, it doesn't want to let go. I want it to let go. And then I was asked the question, can you tune into whether you are actually ready for this to let go? And when I did that, that is being with where you really actually are in the process. And I was able to connect more with what was happening in me because I realized I wasn't ready for it to let go. I was just thinking I needed it to let go. And I wanted it to let go. I wanted it to let go, but I wasn't ready for it to let go. And when I did that, I was able to have a deeper relationship with what was actually happening. And that's why I asked you when we came back from the table.
Gotcha.
If you were actually ready to let go of it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with not being ready to let go of anything.
Gotcha. I get what you're asking now. I feel ambivalent about whether this maze maker stays or not. It feels like the maze maker doesn't want to let go. And what he wants is a friend, like somebody to see him in his maze making and say, wow, this is pretty fucking incredible.
A person that's not you.
Yes.
Because we asked that earlier. If you're like, does he want respect from you?
It feels like it has to do with external validation because he knows that I think the maze making is incredible. I really like it and I use his gifts all the time. So I really like it, but I think there's this like, the world likes it when it provides a service, but the world doesn't seem to accept it just as a thing that he, should be like seen in and honored in.
Is there
one more piece, especially when it comes to relationships, friendships, and like conflict, then he feels very rejected in his meanings making in those situations. So it feels like there's an extra pain point there.
Mm-hmm. And then, so that makes me wonder, is there a particular person above all else that he would love to have see him in his maze making?
I don't know. All the answers that come up are like, first off was Eliza, my partner. But that didn't feel quite right. Then this feels more like partner archetype, but that doesn't feel quite right either. Then it's like women archetype question mark. Then like maybe mom, but that doesn't feel true either. Yeah, so not sure, but feels like something in that realm of like the person whose job it is most to love and accept you, whoever that is.
I hear that you're still in exploration of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A certain person really pops out to me, but
Interesting. Okay. Huh.
I don't know if it feels like it's more helpful for you to get there without me saying it.
Yeah, I might ask you later. It's good to know that you have an idea.
Yeah. Did you ask that part? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like over that is the answer is not sure.
It seems like an important piece.
Yeah.
To really know who you're making the maze for.
Yeah. Yeah, even that's kind of fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's like on one hand he just likes making mazes. Period. Just inherently. It doesn't matter if nobody ever comes. On the other hand, it's like it would be nice if somebody looked at his maze and thought it was cool. And on the third hand, it would be even nicer if somebody wanted to wander through the maze with him. Yeah, all three things feel equally true.
Yeah. I feel that. It also reinforces, for me, the person that I have in mind.
It's reminding me of something too, actually. There were quite a number, actually, of Aya ceremonies at the beginning of my journeys when I just started working with plant medicine. Where it was like wrestling with my intellect and like wanting it to let go. Because Aya kept pushing me to be like, the problem is like that ego death kind of experience. It's like the problem here isn't actually the problem, is how you're looking at the problem kind of thing. So there keeps being this like dissolving of my mind. And then I would try so hard to like let go of my mind. And then suddenly she'll flip around and go like, no. Your mind is a wonderful gift. I'm not asking you to let go of it. Yeah, and I don't think I got very far past that. It's just the answer isn't letting go of the mind. the answer is more learning the right ways of using the mind, or learning how to use the mind in ways that serve me. Yeah, and now it seems like there's something funky about the way I'm doing the learning.
Like you switched from the way you were using it to the way you were learning.
Yeah, like
That's funky. The funky part.
right. So first stage before I came to plant medicine is my mind is always in control of everything. Right. So it has one way of doing things. End of story. Then part B was, okay, the way my mind is controlling everything, bad. Chuck it away. Then now C is, okay, learn how, well, learn to have to come in the right relationship with the mind. And then now it feels like part D, which is learning about how to learn the mind, so that because it's like the relating to the mind itself has there's a way to do it, I guess.
Where does the body come into all this?
I feel like the body is what's learning to do the learning, question mark. I feel yeah, it feels like this weird two-way kind of thing where the mind is understanding that its role is to use its structure building in service of the body. Kind of like what I said earlier, where this thing shines, right, is when it works with pain, and the body is just like no and then the mind comes in and just like, it's okay. It's this isn't dangerous. It's just an intense sensation. So that's where it comes in and serves the body really well. So I feel like that's the learning process that the mind is on. And then the learning process of the body is in how to support the mind, like nourish it also, and give it material to work with, rather than just being entirely dependent on it. Something like that.
Yeah, it's a just when you were first describing, it was just like all mind, and I know that you feel pretty grounded in your body. In what I've been learning a lot lately is, once I was in my mind all the time, and then I had to get into my body and be present in my body, which was really difficult because it was scary to be in there. And the more I'm becoming more present in my body, I've done so much work on that now it's like, oh, how do I connect my mind and my body? And how do I interplay in that healthy exchange of logic and feeling, thought and feeling?
Yeah. Interesting. What that got me thinking of is when it comes to relating to people and words, then that's when it's hard for me to stay grounded in my body. Like if I want to just be in my body and express it that way, or if I want to relate to people just in that realm, like I just don't want to use words. You know, just like dance with people or be in a cuddle puddle or like take a walk silently. Yeah, because there is conversation here that can happen sans verbal. And the moment I have to like speak or relate through communication, then I feel like it switches into the mind space.
Yeah. So, I'm curious.
Mm.
When you were saying that thing to me earlier, and I said I got lost,
Mm.
but you said you felt like you were in your body.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. I wonder if when I'm in my body and I have to share that with you, I'm not able to know whether the words are making sense to you or not. And in that moment, if you're actually listening to my words, there's no energy in it.
Hmm.
And the words are just almost like little signboards for you to feel what I'm feeling rather than actually paying attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm usually pretty good at keeping up with someone when they're speaking from feeling.
Yeah, so there's something clunky happening there.
Right. That is. That's a mind boggler for me right now. Mind boggler.
Yeah, that is a point of confusion too, because I have definitely said to people before when we're arguing or in conflict, and I always like something that I find myself saying is, can you not pay attention to the words I'm using and pay attention to what I'm saying in the words? So that tells me very clearly that the experience that you had just now is a pattern that happens where somehow something is going on where I'm putting out a lot of feeling through the words, but somehow something funky happens and people just get empty words without any energy in
it. Like there is what's coming to me right now is, and this is what I was talking to you about, the actual connection right here in the throat to the heart that connects the mind. The throat is the connection of the mind and the body.
Cool. And I definitely have a lot of throat chakra block. That's for sure. In fact, I pointed this out somatically before, right? Like as far as my pectoral muscle goes, there's a lot of development here on the outside.
Right.
There's almost no development here on the inside, close to the sternum, and a lot of neck tension, which is why my traps here, my shoulder muscles, are super developed, because this part has, no development to create that space. So it's all this way. Yeah.
Ah. All right.
Okay, so throat things.
A little throat blockage going on.
Yeah.
Connection, that connected area.
Interesting.
Feels like a nice place to land to me, but I'll check in with you on what you think.
I have this feeling like there's so much more we could talk about. And yeah, there's a desire there to, like keep talking forever. Yeah, and I guess also because both podcasts that I've done with you have kind of ended up being a little journey into me. Yeah. And I think if we do a third one, yeah, it'll be fun to just riff off of something for both of us.
Totally. I'd be into that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, when we sit down to do that,
Mm.
we'll see what's in the air.
Yep. Always.
It just happened to be that this was really in the air today.
Yeah.
Because of the experiences we were
In
having yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love that too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Yeah.
And
I guess that's not so much a request. It was more a reflection of where a part of me doesn't feel happy in ending it here. It's like, wait, but isn't there more we could talk about?
there is a lot more we can talk about. There's a lot more we talk about often.
Yes, true.
Yes, I agree. There is a lot more we can talk about.
Yeah, but I think insofar as today's chapter, it does feel like a good closing point.
It does. It feels like it feels like that's something. So that actually feels concrete, that there's a throat blockage that is between the head and the body, causing some separation.
Yeah. I feel like that would help in the relational aspect. And then there are still other questions about what the maze builder actually needs and wants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and other questions on whether there is a younger self that is already lost inside the maze.
And who is the maze builder making mazes for?
Yes, that.
I think those are also great questions that came out of this, that it doesn't feel like those are actually able to be answered right now, because I think you looked.
Yeah, but honestly, like finding those questions itself was quite a trek, you know? Yeah, and I think that's a good example of what I meant by like, it feels like right now is like learning about the learning. Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah. Reminds me also of like with partners, it's like they're talking about the problem, and usually the problem can be pretty trivial, but most of the majority of the fight is talking about the way you're talking about the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. This is something that's hitting me.
Oh, okay.
When I asked you if you were ready to let it go, I think that, at least as far as some of the stuff that we were into yesterday with me and Becca, who was with us, me and her were, maybe we were trying to get you to get to letting it go, or we had a thought, and I had an assumption that we were working in the realm of you wanting to let it go, and there was a frustration because it didn't seem like you wanted to, and totally cool, but it's so much easier to work in the same realm of, oh, you are in the learning of what's going on, and you're not at the stage yet of, you're maybe not at the stage yet of wanting it actually ready for it to let go, but in the questions that we surfaced today, who's making the mazes for, there's throat stuff, like, that's important information that if you just were like, I'm gonna let go of it, you wouldn't get.
Right. Yeah. And
or that you might even need before you're ready to let go of it.
Right. And I think that's where the pressure comes in. Like, when it feels like there is an awareness that at the end of this, it needs to be let go of. Yeah. But how to orient that as an end goal that doesn't need to happen anytime soon. Yeah. When with like conflicts in relationships, you know, it's like when the other person's unhappy because of a problem, then there's an awareness that at some point the problem needs to be solved. But how to not let that get in the way of talking about the way we talk about the problem, because that needs a lot more space than the problem itself. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And that's yeah. I also feel like an amendment to what I just said. this podcast has been about meaning. So you've been looking for the meaning of what this thing is doing. Not so much to get rid of it as of this moment. And I think that is a really big distinction. It's a huge distinction.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's a great reflection. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Cool.
So the soup of self-consciousness, and what's this one going to be called? The maze of meaning?
Maybe the maze of meaning, yeah. I was also thinking meaning mazes and meaning mazes in the mind. But I like the maze of meaning. I think that might stick. We'll find out.
Cool.
The maze of meaning. Feels pretty good.
The mind's maze of meaning.
The maze of meaning sounds bad. Thank you, Ezra, for going in and looking
Thanks
at this stuff and with me, and yeah.
Thanks for wandering the maze with me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's always interesting, always challenging, but almost always worth it. No, it's pretty worth it.
I'll take that. Yeah,
it's pretty worth it. Yeah, great. It was wonderful having you on it. And my invitation to all of you is that you make a little room for healing in your life, and we will see you next time. Thanks for making a little room for my podcast. I'd love to be a part of your journey too. Follow me on Instagram at A Little Room for Healing for news, updates, offerings, and connection. To book a session with me, go to www.alittleroomforhealing.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, follow the link at the bottom of the episode description. Have a beautiful day.